Hello and welcome to the Child Care Business Coach podcast. My name is Evelyn Knight, and today we are talking about something very important, the children. The children. I have to tell you a story to start off. I was absolutely shocked and floored me. So I was actually at my conference, and at lunch one day, two of the sponsors actually pulled me aside and they told me they wanted to talk to me about something. And one of the sponsors actually said to me, Evelyn, I really want to work with you. I want to sponsor everything you do, not just your summit, not just your live events. I just want to come alongside you. And I was really flattered. And I was like, wow, thanks. That's pretty cool. And she said, you are the only one out of everybody that we go to all of these conferences that talks about the children. That blew my mind. I cannot believe that out of all of the childcare business conferences we go to, I am the only one that's talking about children. Now, this was actually one of the vendors that's everywhere. She goes to every single conference all over the country. And there's actually two, not just one. There were two of them that are just at all of the conferences all over the country. And they both agreed that my conference, the Child Care Business Summit, is the only one that actually talks about children. That shocked me. And it's been a little over a week since I went to my summit at this point. It's been a week and a half about, and I still just can't get over that. And I just can't get it off my mind. The fact that we are training business leaders in the childcare setting. That's what we do as childcare business coaches. If you are going to a conference for childcare business, they are literally there to help you run a better company, right? But how on earth can you run a better childcare company if the children aren't at the center of what you're doing? I really want you to think about that. What kind of childcare center are you running? If your business coach or the conferences you attend aren't talking about children, I mean, do I really need to say more than that? Seriously, I just was blown away. A while back, I did stop going on the circuit of the speaker circuit. And there were things too that really bothered me about it that were a little bit different. I felt like, as somebody who's teaching this and who's in that field, I did feel like there was a lot of pandering happening. It was more entertaining than it was helpful to a certain extent. And like I said a few of these episodes ago on my show, that I do highly believe that we are um, in a position where it's time for this industry to change. And I don't fit in. I don't. But if one of the reasons I don't fit in is because I put the children at the center of my business, there's a huge problem with that. There is a huge problem. And I have a huge problem with the fact that not everybody in childcare is putting the children at the center. If you own a childcare center, if you're running a childcare program, if you're the director, whatever leadership position you're in, if the children aren't the heart, then you shouldn't be doing it. I mean, there is no other way to say it. You see, in order to be really successful in anything you do, it doesn't matter if you're in a childcare center, a dry cleaner, a fitness center, whatever, there has to be purpose behind it, right? There has to be more. If you want your own personal life satisfaction, there has to be something bigger that you're working towards. So I really want you to stop and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Now, I take my clients really deep on this because one of the things I've found in life is that when you go deep into your purpose, when you really understand why you exist and you go deep into that purpose, you'll find that you become unstoppable. Nothing will shake you, nothing will stop you, and you'll find a way around every life's hurdles, struggles, all the things that you're facing. It's why I'm still here. I've been through a lot. I've been through a lot, a lot. And I now know as a God girl that God allowed me to go through everything. And it really was a way for me to become the person I needed to be today so that I could step in and help empower so many childcare owners and all of the people that we empower. And I know now that I can use my experience to help so many people, right? But what kept me going? So back in 2010, I was really, really struggling. There was some really hard times happening. I was facing a lawsuit over my building and my business. I had an eviction notice, and it was just so much. There was an eviction notice on my center. I was facing a lawsuit. There was this huge my childcare center that I had purchased at the time. There was a father and a daughter that owned it together. They were fighting with each other, and they couldn't agree on who got the money for the purchase of this business. So even though there was like a co-ownership thing going on, they were fighting. And then one of the parties decided that I should be paying them. The other party that I was actually contracted with, I was actually paying one party, and the other party felt like I should be paying them. So they sued me. They sued me for not paying the bill, basically, right? And that's when I ended up with an eviction notice on my door at my childcare center. And thank God it was a 72-hour order. I was able to get it stopped. We went to court. We did all the things. But it was a lot. That was how I entered into one of my, I was already a childcare center owner, but that's how I started with my second childcare center. Literally between a dispute between the two people who had previously owned my center, and now they're trying to evict me. I'm getting sued. Well, one of the parties was the party that thought they should be getting the money was trying to sue me while I was paying the other party. But it was a lot. I had to still get a lawyer. I still did not know because everything was so ambiguous on the way that the contract was done between the owners that he had a case. So I didn't know if I was going to lose my business at the time. That's how I started at my current center that I love so much. And then things just started spiraling out of control for me, right? It just was so much. I started getting really sick, hired a bookkeeper that I found out ended up embezzling from me. I ended up having an IRS agent knock on my front door with a bill for over 6 figures. And that was probably within my first 2 years of being at my current childcare center. So then my husband ended up in the hospital and he almost died the first time that was, probably 2012. Fast forward from 2012, 9 years later, I did lose my husband. So how did I keep going? There were times that my husband and my mom literally sat me down and said, it's time to quit. This is too much. Time to quit. You can be a stay-at-home mom. You don't need to do this. We'll get you any other business, but this is not the business for you. But I couldn't give up. No matter what I faced, I never gave up. And it's because I understood my calling. I know why I was put on this earth. My purpose is so strong that I can't give up on it. There is something inside me that literally does not allow me to stop going no matter what I face. And that's why I'm here to help you too. But if the children aren't at the center of your childcare center, then what keeps you going? I don't understand. And that's part of the reason over this last week, as I was contemplating this whole notion of the fact that there's literally childcare centers out there that they're not putting children at the center. If the conferences that you're learning from are not putting the children at the center, then are you? If these are the people you're listening to and the children are not the most important thing, then are they the most important thing to you? I think that's one of those tough questions we have to ask, right? And if they're not, how do you keep going when the going gets rough? No matter what, life is always going to give us that ebb and flow of good and bad, right? I actually keep this prop here right next to me here at my desk. And this, if you're listening to the podcast, this is a giant spring I'm holding, literally a gigantic spring, right? But this is basically how life is. Life is going to constantly flow. You're going to have ups and you're going to have downs. And that is what life flows. Just imagine, if you're listening, a gigantic spring, and you flow on the course of that life where you're at these high highs and you're at these low lows, right? Now, the key is, how do you just stay even? How do you stay even? No matter how high the highs get or how low the lows get, you just keep this even keel, right? And of course, we're all going to dip, right? We are. But the key is to stay here. Now, how do I stay here when life looks like this down here? When I have an IRS agent knock on my front door with a bill for over $100,000, how do I not tumble and just give up and just live down here? It's because of my purpose. When my husband died and I didn't really want to go on, how is it that I got myself back up here? What is it? It's because I know why I was here, put here, and it's for the children. So it's no wonder to me that almost 70,000 childcare centers are estimated to go out of business in 2024. Because if you're not putting the children at the center of what you do, then you're going to give up. You will, because you have no purpose. You're running through life and through your business and your career without a North Star. I mean, that would literally be like telling yourself, okay, I'm getting in my car and I'm driving to New York, if you are in New York, California. And I'm just going to just go. I don't need a map. I don't need anything. Or actually, it's even worse than that, right? At least you have a destination. If you don't have your purpose, you don't even have a destination. It would be like saying, okay, I'm getting my car and I am going to go experience a big city, and I'm going to go to somewhere that I can go to a beach, and I can also see like a show and do all these things. And I'm just going to drive until I find it, right? There's no destination. How do you know you're not going to end up in a city in the middle of nowhere where it's all farms and ranches instead of a place that would have Broadway shows and still have beach access and a lot of other type of nightlife stuff, right? You have to have a destination, and your purpose is your destination. So if children are not at the center of your business, I really challenge you and ask you, what is at the center of your business? And again, if you're going to these conferences and all of these other things, and they aren't focusing on the children, I really question that. I just cannot even begin to tell you guys how much, like, I've literally obsessed over that comment for the last week and a half. Like, it just, I mean, there were nights where I just wake up in the middle of the night saying, I'm the only conference that talks about children in the childcare industry. What is wrong with that? How are we going to change the future? How are we going to serve these children if we're not focusing on the children? They are the most important component here, you guys. Come on. The children. Yes, good business practices are vitally important, because without the money and the cash flow coming in, we can't give to the children, right? Vitally important. But if they are not at the center and focusing on the quality for them and what we're pouring into them isn't our number one thing, then what are we doing? We might as well own a gas station. We don't own puppy mills. These are childcare centers, and the children deserve so much more. We literally have the power to change the entire world, since we form 90% of the human brain. So if we're not putting them at the center, what are we doing? We're doing a disservice to this entire world. Just think, as we revolutionize this industry, we are literally going to have the power to change everything. As we revolutionize early childhood education, the world can change. I was asked to talk for the TEDx Commission in New York. And one of the things they wanted me to talk about is how early childhood education can actually stop global warming and can save our environment. Think about that. That is how powerful. There is nothing early childhood education cannot pour into and change, because we're literally forming 90% of a child's brain, of the human brain. Do you realize your ability to be open-minded and to hear someone else's argument and perspective formed in the first 5 years of your life? Your time management, your coping, your problem solving, your ability to think in really complex ways. That all happened in the first 5 years of your life. So if you've got wonderful executive brain functioning, thank the people in your life who raised you for the first 5 years. If you don't, that's where you look. Psychology today and all the therapy we go through, most of that is going to be something from the first 5 years of your life. We literally spend our entire adult life trying to fix the mistakes that were made in the first 5 years of our life. So imagine the power of early childhood education if we would just take those principles and be more intentional and really raise these children right. And we have the power of that in ECE. We can educate the parents. We can educate our communities. If we just unite as an industry, we can change the world. But we can't do it if we're not talking about children. So I really urge you to really be aware. And I hope, if nothing else, I just open your eyes and you can start looking for that awareness. And you can start listening. Who is talking about the children? Who is really authentically loving the children? Because if you're going to follow somebody, make sure they love the children. Seriously. And if you don't have that love in your heart, then I'm going to be brutally honest, you have no business in this industry. It's about them. So I hope this resonated with somebody. I know I can't even tell you, the thought of childcare conferences that don't talk about children at all literally kept me up at night. It did. And that's one of the things that needs to change. And it just makes me have a deeper understanding of why I was called to this industry. And we're going to do it. We're going to change it together. So thank you for joining me today. I know that I'm kind of new to doing this on Instagram. I'm running on a couple different cameras here. So if it's kind of like just shifting from one thing to another, but thank you so much. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their week and their summer, and go enjoy the 4th of July. And also, just really quick, I do want to give a shout out to PB&J TV, Kangaroo Time, Comploy, Seven Figures Funding, Lightbridge Academy, and so many of our amazing sponsors, Shea Wheat Production. Oh my gosh, there were so many amazing sponsors for the Child Care Business Summit. I just have to thank them for coming alongside us and really believing in what we do, and also being there to serve the children. It just warms my heart so much. And Jay Whitney, also amazing. You guys want to see somebody, you need to pick his brain. Jay Whitney for sure. Have a wonderful rest of your week, everybody.